that was good. Thank you for that. I needed to talk about all that shit.
Yeah. See. What I'm about to do is nominate myself to be the voice of the people. Yeah, my people. Blood, sweat, pain, tears, man. We all got fears. All one people should all live equal. Tell me why they trying to change what's legal. Blood, sweat, pain, tears, man. We all got fears. All one people should all live equal. Tell me why they trying to take my freedom. If we all God's children, all God's creatures, tell me why they trying to take my freedom. All God's features, ask your preacher. Man, these politicians so damn deceiving. Lying in our face, contradicting every word they say. I can't be the only one seeing this. Man, I'm about to teach this city what the street kids really feel about this whole damn system. First things first, we ain't all a bunch of heathens and some roughnecks and some tough kids. That's just what happens when you put us in some projects. Yes, we all fit the profile, we some suspects. What y'all expect? Treat us like some bad checks. Try and kick us out our own corner, man, what's next? Y'all gonna tax us for their own air we breathing.
We're done. You see it or you don't. We'll catch it later. All right, guys. Well, welcome to this one time. We're live over here. Hopefully the quality is okay, and you can hear a little bit of it. The recording is going to be a lot better.
Yeah.
And I'll also match it up to my camera that I have there for the YouTube video.
Yay.
So I'll edit that together. I am joined today by Lucinda Yrene. She goes by La Morena.
Yes.
And you are a Phoenix. I don't want to say you're just from Phoenix, a Southwest, North American. Like, I don't want to just put you in a shoebox, you know. You're a muralist, painter, artist, and you've filled a couple of shoes at this point and actually doing some really good work for the indigenous women population.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
activism.
Thank you for, activism, using art for artivism, I guess you could say. But thank you for having me. It's been great. It's been an awesome journey. I've known Juan for several years. He saw me kind of at the beginning. And
I did.
So
this is very impressive to see your meteoric rise.
Yeah. So what should we talk about first?
Well, truth or dare. No, I'm just messing.
My gosh.
No matter what you would have said, it would have been to get you to say something positive about Trump, because I know you just squirm in there. Yeah.
I have absolutely no. Actually, I don't. If I had to say something positive about Trump, is that he woke the people up.
Yeah.
There was a shift that happened. There was a rise that happened. There was a immediate
call to arms.
We got to do something right now. Shit's about to pop off. Oh my God, am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah. Fuck yeah. We tries to keep it real.
That's probably like, I mean, that's the only positive, or the positive that I see, that when Trump came into office. But the people, we stood up and we're still fighting, and here we are. So yeah, it's again impressive to see how your career has taken off. Allowed you to quit your corporate 9-to-5, and really dive headfirst into art. And being a creative soul that inspires others to, take a stand, because the work that you're doing is to try and take a stand and bring awareness to certain situations. So I guess let's take it back to the beginning. Okay.
When was your first experience with art as a child? Like kindergarten, noodles, what are we talking here?
So I think as a kid, I didn't really draw too much or have that. I didn't feel the artistic ability. I was, playing sports, playing soccer. But I think at 14 years old is when I started doing some illustrations. Like I was drawing X-Men. I was into Sailor Moon. Mm-hmm. That's about it. It wasn't until college when I took some graphic design classes that I had to take all these drawing classes, and I didn't take no painting classes, but just more like design, 3D design, life drawing. And then from my life drawing classes. I was like, oh my God, I was like, I can draw, what? It kind of like, I guess it was in me, but I just didn't know. But even after, that was like 2001, 2002, I didn't do anything with it. Didn't think I could do anything with it until like 2009, 2010, when I left my kid's father. And 2009, I kind of was like at a point in my life where I thought I had like ADD, and couldn't really focus at my job, was kind of struggling, didn't know what was going on with me. So, went into, like, I'm going to get a little personal.
I love it. I love it. Like I said, this can be 5 minutes. This can be 5 hours. It's whatever you're comfortable with.
I know I've told the story before, but it's like, this is a different platform. So, for those who are just discovering me, I'm going to go ahead and share my story because it is an inspiring one. And I wanted to tell the story for people not to feel sorry for me, but to feel inspired and know that anything is possible for anybody, no matter what struggle you come from. So I came from a 12-year domestic violence relationship with my kid's father. The day I left him was the day I almost didn't make it, me and my kids. But we survived, and I'm here now. And back in 2009 and 10, I was at a point in my life where I was kind of lost, dealing with something I didn't know what was going on with me until I did go in to see a therapist, and she had diagnosed me with depression. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not in my room crying, so it made no sense to me. And she's like, dear, you don't have to be in your room crying. This is like, you're with somebody for 12 years since you're 16 years old. This is a form of a loss to you, and this is the way your body's, coping with it. And she said, well, what are your things that you're into? And I said, God, not much. Basically being a mother, working 2 jobs, and at the time taking care of a motherfucker,
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just say it like that. And so she advised me, well, how about you get back into your art or learn about meditation? I'm all, meditation? What's that? I've never heard it before. And I said, my art, like, what can I do with that? And then the other option was, we can put you on some prescription medicine. I was like, oh, hell no.
Yeah, ew.
So that day I left the office and never went back. I decided to pursue art. And then at the time I was, going out, meeting different people.
I mean, that's how, let me put the mic a little bit closer here. No, I mean, that's literally how we met.
That's how we met. Yeah. So we're going out in Scottsdale. I met this very important person, key player in my life. His name is DJ Area 4, Joe Maldonado. I met him from being out and about, and there's a mutual peer of ours. His name's Bobby Brand New. His music was fire back then, and I was not a groupie. I was just inspiring his music.
Yeah, definitely not. No, I can honestly say that. Literally.
I loved his music.
Yeah, which actually I'm gonna ask him to use one of his songs for ours that he wrote as a strike back at the SB 1070 law.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's called One People.
No way.
Yeah, from his one original album that he released. So I'll use that as like the intro to this. Oh,
we have to talk back. We're going to have to link back up to this topic because of my project called Colors of La Comunidad, which is for SB 1070 for the 10th year anniversary that we're doing. But that would be cool to utilize him for that as well.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the story. Well, I linked up with the guy named Area 4, Joel Maldonado, and he was like, well, he saw my work, was like, dude, you can do something with this. But I'm like, what? I didn't know anything at the time, but I did say, I want to throw an art show, an underground art show, graph show, something. But I didn't know anybody in the Phoenix community. I didn't know any artists. I didn't know where to start, how to begin. And this one Christmas Eve in 2011, Joe calls me on the phone. I'm sitting in the chair, and he goes, you know what? Get up. We're going to do this. You want to throw a show? We're going to do it. I'm all, okay, I'm down.
He got you right up.
So he got me out of that chair, and we planned, and we threw our first, I threw my first art show with Joe in 2012 called Paint and Patron, and that was in Tempe. We had 300 people show up. We had 15,
at your first show.
My first show, and
Yeah.
we had 15 artists painting live. Patron was blown away. They sponsored the event. Mikhail sponsored the event. They're like, whoa, like this is something cool. And we kind of did that for a couple years. I think our last one we did was like 2014.
Yep. Yeah.
And the shows were great, but I think at that time we were kind of burnt out from throwing the pop-ups, and we wanted to do something else. So we did smaller shows for local artists in Arizona and Phoenix. And this was like my foot in the door to the community and to the Phoenix art scene. You know, me coming in, people are like, oh, who's this girl? Like, who's this girl from Scottsdale? Not knowing that I'm not from Scottsdale, and that the reason why I'm just showing up is because I was in a 12-year relationship having a different type of, my life was different at the time.
Yeah, and you were using this to heal.
Yeah.
You know?
So it was another way for me to, like you said, like heal. So I think after that point, 2015 was another highlight in my career, because after the shows were done, I wanted to do me. I wanted to do my art. But again, I didn't feel I was good enough at the time. I was still kind of experimenting, like, what direction do I want to take? Do I want to continue to do shows, or do I want it to focus on me as an artist and do my art? And while at work, I was working for Bank of America at the time, and I got a phone call from Pete Salas, owner of Bar Smith and Monarch. He had reached out and wanted me to host these artists that were in town from the Just Seeds Art Collective. And they were doing a broad project with Colibri Human Rights Organization and Just Net Roots. They were doing a project with Mark Silver. And Mark Silver is a director who did a movie or documentary called Who is Diane Christel? And so the leftover funding from that movie, that project, was funding this mural project in Phoenix. And so these artists were new in town, didn't know what their way around. So he thought it'd be cool if I would help and host them. And I said, sure. I woke up that next morning. Like, I was more than willing to help and assist. So I got all my equipment, showed up that morning at the wall, and asked them. I met Jess Snow at that time. I met Chip Thomas, Mataruda, and Robin Renicki from Colibri Human Rights Organization. And it was such an amazing project that I was introduced to, because that was the first time that I dealt with artivism and politics. Because before that, I was not spiritually awakened, culturally awakened, politically awakened until that project. So when we did this project, the first wall was on Washington in near Bar Smith and Monarch. So if you ever see those blue hummingbirds that are unfinished, that was us. We got shut down because they kind of used it as, well, you guys don't have insurance, we're going to have to shut you down. But it was because it was regarding immigration. The wall owners, or the building owners, didn't want to continue the project, so they shut us down. Which I was blown away with, because I've never dealt with that. And I was like, wow, this is some real shit. And they were about to fly the artists home. And I said, no, I know some people in the community that can give us a wall. So sure enough, I got a wall from Beatrice Moore, and she gave us a wall in the Grand Ave Art District. And so we got a wall there. And so we continued to paint the mural. And it was a really cool, organic mural project that happened, because a lot of the community members trickled in. There's a lot of journalists that came in and reporters that came in. It was the day that I met Lynn Trumbull from New Times, the day I met Nick Ozo from Arizona Republic and USA Today, the day I met Laura from La Voz, the day I met these amazing artists, Jeff Slim, Eduardo Pin from, at the time was from Puente, and it's just oh man, all this magic was happening at the wall, and these people have significant impacts into my life at this very moment to this day. Yeah. So it was a huge turning point for me. At that time, my perspective on immigration, on brown people, on the struggle completely changed, because I was thinking a different way. And I'm going to be honest with you, being a dark brown, Chicana, Mexican American, a lot of the racism that I've received growing up was from Mexicans, because I'm dark because I didn't speak the language, because I'm Americanized. And there was a struggle growing up. So in my junior high years, the Chicano kids used to fight the Mexican kids because of the culture clash.
Yeah.
And so that's how I grew up. But when this mural happened, I was like, whoa, let's break those barriers down. And so it shifted my mind, and I wanted to help. And I got rid of that mindset, mentality that I had, and, you know, broke down these barriers. And now I've decided this is what I wanted to do. And so if that mural can change my life and my perspective, imagine the many others that we can help, heal and motivate, inspire with art. And after that project, I started, me and Mataruda linked up. We started dating for 2 years, traveled, here and there across the U.S. I became more of his assistant, and I learned how to paint, I guess, get better. I got better.
You would have learned a lot. I mean, how to paint, techniques, and the business side of it. Because, I mean, it's a little bit of a business. You have to find a way to pay for yourself to go around and make these connections.
So I learned, I learned a lot. I think, like, doing, having somebody like that. I also met people like Gaia and, like, from the East Coast. Like, being surrounded with these muralists from all over the world was a really huge impact on my life, because I wasn't learning so much from, my own community, but looking on the outside, looking in, which was like, whoa, like, they're like, man, you live in, like, the lucha. And I didn't even, like, at the time, like, take that in, because I'm born and raised in Arizona.
Yeah, you grew up with it. It's what you know.
So it's really cool to me. But I think, like, now, I think 2017, after me and my ex split, I was in a plane flying to New York, to Rochester, New York, to paint my very first mural on my own, which was like, I couldn't believe it, because, like, going through this, another point in my life where I'm going through a breakup, kind of dealing with these emotions, but then also being flown out to New York for my very first mural. It's crazy to me. And so
surreal.
It was so real, and like a mixed emotions that I was going through, but I was more happy and excited. So that was the mural that I painted in Rochester was for Wall Therapy, another turning point in my life. I want to thank them so much, because at the time I had like 500 followers. I had like no murals by myself, but they believed in me. And so I want to say thank you, Eric.
Hey, shout out Eric.
Yes. And then from that project, it was really cool, because when I did that, Eric, the founder of Wall Therapy, had no idea that the other artists he hired were actually my peers, my friends, So he's like, it was like Ian Canali, Sean Lugo, Jess Snow, and I had a really good time doing that. And again, once I painted that mural, it went viral. Like, for some reason, it's like every time I paint something and I put a lot of that energy into it, it just goes like, it just like explodes, and it just serves its purpose, and it's amazing. I remember when I posted that mural, I was already home, but my phone was just going off for like 2 days. I was like, what is happening? Reclaim Your Power shared it. Mujeres de Maíz shared it. Brooklyn Street Art posted an article with it, and I was like, oh my God, I just remember crying. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening, you know? And people were like, from LA were like, Viva la Morena, Viva la Chicana. I said, what? I was like, oh.
You're like, I was always fighting those.
So it's really cool. But that's how I started. And then, we are here now.
Yeah. And I like to see, I pointed at your board with like everything that you have lined up, and I was like, I love to see it's completely full. Because even to get you behind here was a little bit of a struggle. Yeah. I think I've been trying since like July.
I apologize.
But don't apologize. Like, you're busy. Like, you were stuck in New Mexico. You were doing something in Yuma. Like, you're all over the place. Like, I completely understand. So don't apologize. You're busy, and for good reason. You're doing great work. I mean, you're attending city hall meetings. You're speaking on behalf behalf of these groups, which we'll definitely get into. We can go right into that if you'd like.
Well, yeah, let's, well, I'm just going to talk about like leaving the corporate American job, because I know huge. A lot of people are like, how did you do it? How did you did you save up some money? Because I know there's a lot of people who do work for corporate American companies, or are in a position where they're stuck in routine with their job, and it's not really their passion. They don't know how to move forward or how to leave. It's
the security that they're used to.
It's just the security that they're used to. And I think, oh man, when I worked for, I think I did learn, I don't have an academic background so much, but I do have a corporate American company background, meaning that I learned my business minded from my business mind from working for Bank of America, and my organizing from Bank of America. And so that helped me in that area. And but working for the company, I was stuck in routine Monday through Friday. I was stuck in a cubicle, 2 computers, no windows, in traffic for an hour and a half every single day for 12 years. It was like taking my soul. And I think one of the times, well, before I quit, like a couple weeks before I quit, my manager, and I really thank my managers for not firing me. I should have been fired. I'm not even kidding you. After like 2012, I stopped caring, and my numbers were horrible, but it's because my heart wasn't there. Yeah. My heart was elsewhere. And so my manager at the time was like, man, Lulu, you really not cutting it. We got to figure it out. You got to make a decision. And I sat there and I just looked at him. I'm like, I'm so sorry for letting you down, because the previous manager was going to let me go, but had me go with him so he could just give me an easier position. So my mind's not so, because I knew I was doing art, and doing this at the same time. Plus dealing with my 3 kids, so like trying to help me out.
Yeah. 2 boys and 1 girl.
Yeah. Jesus, man. So at the time he, gave me that ultimatum, and then I think a couple weeks after that I had a burnout where I actually fainted at a workshop.
A workshop at Bank of America, or
no,
like
it was
a paint
workshop for a grant, like a project that I did in Yuma. And in the middle of the workshop, I got like, my whole body went pale, and I just like passed out. And
you're redlining.
Yeah, so I was doing too much, and that was like, that's it. I'm just gonna quit.
Wake up call. Wow.
And so it was a wake up call for me. And when I quit, it was funny. I didn't wake up in the morning and say, okay, today's going to be the day. Yeah. No, I woke up, went to work, and my boss was like, come on, Lulu, we're going to go over your numbers, knowing that I was completely red and I was scared. I was like, shit. Yeah, yeah. And my coworker, Cliff, was like, dude, if you don't tell him that you're going to quit, I'm going to tell him for you. And I was like, no. So I said, all right, I'm going in. And when I had that last meeting with my manager, I was like, okay, I'm putting my 2 weeks in. He goes, man, Lulu, he goes, I already knew. He's like, everybody else told me before you. He goes, next time, just tell me first. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry, but there's not going to be a next time. But I knew what he meant. And so it was really funny. And then it was like the best feeling in the world. I wasn't scared at all. I didn't have any money saved. I was like, we're going to do this. I don't know how, but we're going to do it. Oh, wow. Just a leap. That's what you just have to do it. Because now it's like before, like you were just like, well, I don't know what I can do. I don't know here. And now you were just like, you might still not know, but now you have to make something happen. Yeah. You have to make something happen. So what was the first call you made? I don't remember. I just remember like, I was already booked. I was already busy. I already had projects lined up. And so I didn't even have time to get scared. I didn't have time to not move. It was like, I don't remember what the first project I had afterwards, but it was just go, 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 go. And now it's like, I'm so busy, and it's been that way. I think I'm more busier than working for the corporate job. So it's like, but it's a passion though. It's a passion. So it's just different. It might be still as demanding as far as like hours and like energy. Yeah. But when you're working for something that you really feel strongly about, it's just going to be a little bit easier in a sense. You can manage it better. Yeah. Oh man, it's the best. Right now I work out of my house. So I have a studio. I turned my dining room makeshift studio. Yeah. An art studio, and then my garage into the second part of my studio where I can make more of a mess in. But it's when I wake up in the morning, I get to wake up when I want. I try not to get up so late. I'm not a morning person, you know?
Yeah.
So I try for 8:30, 9:30, but to wake up and walk into my space is the best feeling in the world, man. I can't explain it. I'm like, I cannot believe I'm here and I'm doing this and I'm paying my bills, my car payment, my rent and my water and my electricity with my art money, you know?
With this.
Yeah, it's just like so, like I'm still in awe every day. I'm very grateful, and I'm really thank all my supporters who, you know, have followed my journey from the beginning, who just joined me now, and who support me, and who believe in me. And there's times that sometimes I still don't feel like I'm doing enough. Like I'm an activist. I'm not a full-time activist, not because I don't want to. It's because I'm a single mother of 3, and I have all these mural projects and these art projects and these other things that are happening in my life that I can't be there and show up all the time, and show my face at these rallies and these protests and these public hearings, like so many of you. So I really applaud a lot of you organizers and activists who are actually making it out and do this 24/7. But my platform is my work and my art. I need to be in the studio creating, producing these types of images for you guys.
Because it reaches a whole new audience. When it blows up, when it goes viral, like
right.
It gets new eyes on there.
It does, and that's my fastest way to help is through my work. And so I do have, but I'm not, you know, I do have that little bit of guilt where it's like, man, like today there's a protest in Tucson. I'm like, I really want to drive out there, but I'm like, I can't make it. You know, it's like I have these obligations to get these, you know, these other projects that I have that are due this upcoming week, and I'm like, man, I really wish I can be there, but I am supporting you guys. I do hear, you know, I hear your voice, and I'm gonna, you know, load up on some art and some upcoming murals. I have a really awesome projects that are coming up, which is next topic is probably to touch base on Colors de la Comunidad, which is a project I'm founder of. I started it almost 2 years ago in South Phoenix, and I've decided to you know, run with it and make it into a consistent project for me, which is a mural project. It's starting off as a mural project, but I think it can evolve into something else, something greater than just being murals. So we'll see, but
like a whole movement.
I think like I'm like, man, I'm thinking, well, this year, 2018, I did a mural in South Phoenix, and it was for our dreamers. I did that in collaboration with Ep31. She's a civil rights leader. You know, back in the day, she walked with Cesar Chavez. So Petra's dope, and she's been in the game for a very long time. And she is a founder of Promise Arizona. So I did that project with her and Sagrado Gallery, Sam Gomez. And when I did that mural in South Phoenix, again, I just wanted to do something to help our dreamers, because they were going, at the time, DACA was being revoked. Yeah. And 80,000 dreamers were going to be affected by this. And I seen what really got me out of the seat and to get up and do something was seeing my peers, seeing my friends like break down, because they're like scared to drive down the street to the store because of possibly being pulled over and taken in. And I'm like,
a complete police state. Like that's living in fear.
Living in fear, just like, hit me in the gut so hard that I was like, this cannot be reality. It's like living SP 1070 all over again. And I was like, son of a, you know? So I decided to do this mural to bring some type of hope and inspiration to our dreamers. And it's more like a thank you card to them, you know? And I just wanted to do something so impactful for them. And I painted that mural, not knowing what was going to happen. And another mural that went viral. It was amazing because we had a mural reveal, a celebration, and the community came together in South Phoenix. Like, people gathered up. We had like almost every news station out there. to talk about this. And I had dreamers out there, thanking me, telling me what it meant for me to do that for them. I had dreamers' parents gift me with like earrings and like just shake my hand and take my picture. And I remember at one point my son was my oldest Dominic was standing in the background. He kind of walks up to me. He's like, Mom, he's like, why are these people acting like you saved their life? And I said, son, do you understand why? Now do you see why I do this? I was like, because this is giving the people hope, son. This is a movement.
Yeah, some people just see it as a news story.
Yeah.
But to these people, it's not just a news story. Like, this is their actual life.
Yeah, this is their life.
It's in play.
Yeah, exactly. And I think my kids kind of like the light bulb went on for them at that point, because they kind of give me a hard time about being so busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that project went so well. And from that project, I was like, you know what? I need to continue this. I didn't know how, but then I just like, you know what? We're just going to do, keep it going.
Momentum.
The momentum, keep it going. And so I decided to touch the subject of, because our SB1070, the 10th year anniversary is coming up in April. I think it's around April 23rd. And I said, you know what? There's two things I was thinking about, is that I feel that Phoenix we have culture, through music and like other areas, but I think in visual arts, we're lacking a lot of cultural identity. And, I don't want to talk about specific like organization, but I feel that this organization that does these art calls is kind of, leaning towards the non-brown, the non-politic, the non-culture, I guess, theme.
Yes.
For their
something a little bit more watered down.
I guess so.
more palatable for more people.
I guess it's so whitewashed. That's how I feel. And it's like, oh man, we're so much more than Frida Kahlo and all these, I was like, I want to put some cultural identity into Phoenix. I get inspired by Chicano Park in San Diego and LA and all these other, the Southwest areas that have these dope, amazing brown murals. And it's like, we lack so much of that. I don't know, some of you can feel different, but that's how I feel. Everybody's, can have their opinion, but that's what I feel. And so what have I decided to do is put some murals throughout Maricopa, one in Tucson, giving us some cultural identity, and also speaking to SB 1070 and where we were in the past, where we were then, where we are now, and how we're going to move forward from it. Because there was a lot of trauma that came from that time. It was the first time when SB 1070 came to Arizona. I remember standing in front of the news, hearing about it, and I'm like, what? Yeah. Like, I was like really scared to be brown. Like, my heart just went to my stomach, meaning like, so you're telling me you can pull me over just because of the color of my skin, and then accuse me of being undocumented because you feel like it. And so that scared me. And I remember, I wasn't an activist then, but a lot of you like, man, I'm so glad you guys are my friends now, because, oh man, what you guys did back then is amazing. Like, I'm talking about Diana and all you guys that worked for Puente, who are back there protesting SB 1070. It was so damn hot back then, but you guys are out there doing it. And I was in the, watching from the TV with my baby kids, cheering you guys on. But so that inspires me to do this project, Colors de la Comunidad, in honor of SB 1070's 10th year anniversary. So I'm hoping we finished one wall already. We start part 2 end of December, early January. We're still figuring out the dates. But we will have it's going to be a community mural. So we're inviting the community to come out and help us paint. And then we'll have some, cool. So we'll have some workshops just educating about the topic of SB 1070 and how we use art for artivism, and then how to paint a mural, and then also, talk about the celebration. And I'm hoping that what I do want at the end result of all these murals is to have one big mural reveal. And at the first wall, which is on 1401 West Washington, right by the state capitol. It's amazing because that on Washington, it's a one-way road where it's like where all the major protests and rallies happen. So when you're walking down that road, my mural is facing you, and like you can see it. So I'm hoping to do a mural reveal there, where the park's at, have some music, have some, some of our elders that spoke back 10 years ago, to invite them back and to speak, and have like Raquel Theron from District 29. She's excited for this project, and we're going to have her come out. Lucha is one sponsoring my project. And then we're working with Alex Navidad, who is an immigration lawyer. Amazing. He funded the first wall, and then Lucha came in and sponsored the remaining amount. And so we have a lot of good things coming up, and a lot of things going good with this project. So I'm really excited.
What's it take for somebody to sponsor a wall? So say somebody like listens to this or has been wanting to get in contact with you. What's it take?
So I do have a website, which is www.colorsdelalcomunidad.com or .org. I'm sorry. Right now it's under construction. It's about to go live in like a couple weeks. So I have a donation tab on there that if you would like to donate, to this project, you can donate. If you would like to sponsor a future wall, you can actually email us. And then I can give you that information later. So
yeah, for sure. I'm just interested in like what it takes, like logistics, like finding the wall, asking for permission for that wall, I guess. Okay. And then the cost, because at this point, I guess you have to pay for all the paint, and all the supplies that go into actually, doing the wall, bringing it to life.
The hardest part is finding the wall. These business owners don't really want so much of a political statement on their wall. Yeah. So it's hard. But I'm not like a radical. I don't do, radical pieces. It's more like motivating, inspiring, and that gives people hope. So so far it's been working out. You just have to, for the first wall that we got from Alex Navidad, he actually reached out to me and asked if I could do this wall. And I said, you know what, this is a perfect location for me to leverage off this and turn it into my Colors de la Comunidad project and be number one for this project, wall number one for this project. And so that's how that worked. But other than that, I have to go out and I have to reach out and ask people for walls. So if you are a business owner and in the Maricopa area, in the Mesa area, or in Tucson that has a wall that's willing to donate to us, please reach out. And if you would like to sponsor a wall, again, please reach out, because anything helps, and you just have to. So I guess that's how I would say go about it, is just to reach out. Yeah.
Have you reached out to Bank of America? I mean, you gave them 12 years. Yeah, can I take that one side of that big building in Mesa?
No, I haven't reached out. That was another thing. I'm trying to stay away from the corporate world. Yeah. So I'm more
small business, local business.
I'm trying to stay within just like I don't know how to explain it. Like, stay away from the corporate world, on the funding part. Yeah. And people like Lucha and people like Promise Arizona and, these organizations I would like to work with. But I won't say no, it just depends. It has to make sense. That's
you have to comb over the contract, get your lawyer involved to make sure there's not some shady shit that corporations do.
Exactly.
Because you could chalk it up as a win if it brings more awareness to what you're trying to accomplish.
So I'm very open to it. We'll see.
Awesome. I'm again glad you're doing it. And I definitely want to get a list of every organization that you've worked with and put that like in the show notes so people know kind of like where they can find these organizations and donate their time, money, resources, all that, just to make as big of an impact as possible.
Yay. That would be oh man, that means so much to me. Yeah, because I think like after this project that we do with Colors, what I wanted to get into, not maybe next year or the following year, is actually do some art therapy and get these art programs into the women's prisons and like these domestic violence shelters and like
That'd be
use
huge.
arts for healing, because I've seen the impact that it does for people.
Yeah.
Even when I do small community murals, people come, people paint, but they also vent. They tell me their stories and what it's done for them. And I just seen it organically happen and provide healing for so many. And it's done it for me. So it's like, you know, there's other forms of healing, that therapy that we can do, especially with art. I think people don't really like see that we just don't have to sit in a room and talk to somebody. You know, art is another form of therapy that we can do, and I really want to get that into the prisons, get that into these, you know, people who suffer for, you know, their like drug abuse and like alcohol abuse, and like get them into these circles, so that we can use this art to heal as many as we can. So
Yeah, it definitely is healing, especially when they can look back. I'm sure you look back at some of the pieces you've created, and it brings you right back to where you were and kind of where it pulled you out from.
Yep. Yeah, art definitely saved my life.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to make a song.
Yay.
Have Area 4 spin it. Spin it at the clubs.
I would be like, that was horrible.
I laugh when people say that music shouldn't be political, sports or athletes shouldn't be political, stay out of politics. It has no place in there, when it has every right to be there, and it always has been there.
Oh, yeah.
Music started off like, again, somebody singing the blues. Like, what do you think they're singing about? How much of a good time that they're having? No,
Right.
it's talking about, you know, how hurt they are, the pain that they're going through, and some optimism, obviously, you know, that it can get better. But art, music, and especially athletes, when you think about when, you know, all these sports were founded and got really big. I mean, civil rights was still a big issue. Jackie Robinson was discriminated at every turn. And so for people to say that, politics or you know, those issues don't belong in sports, or an artist shouldn't tell us, like a musician shouldn't tell us what they believe. It's like, no, like everybody is entitled to give their opinion. Yes. Take it from like an actor. Yeah. Take it with a grain of salt from an actor, but you know, everybody is due their voice.
Exactly.
And so I just laugh when people say like that it shouldn't be political. I'm like, complete opposite.
Man, I think music and art and, you know, athletes using their platform has such a major effect on us, because music and art can change people more than our own government can. And music and art to me is a language that people can understand no matter where you come from.
Yeah.
And I really applaud the athletes that are taking a stance, that are using their platform to address these specific social justice issues. We are in a different times now. I mean, yesterday I received a message from a young girl, she's 14 years old, from England, who was so inspired from my work that she made a handbook. She did a school project on me and another artist. She made this book with my work and with some of my words, and she flipped through the pages, and I started crying. I broke down and I started crying. I'm crying now because I think, like, oh God, that meant so much to me for her to do that, because she's in England. She's 14 years old. She shouldn't have to be dealing with these type of issues, or worried about them, or concerned and trying to figure out ways how she can help. And she wants to be, she told me, she's like, I want to be an activist just like you.
Wow.
I'm really inspired by your work. And my daughter was standing next to me as we're looking at the pictures. And my daughter looks at me and I look at her and I just start crying.
Oh, yeah.
And I think because at 14 years old, I was in my room sketching, and I was like playing soccer, you know, doing that type of stuff. I wasn't worried about politics. I wasn't worried about, you know, everything else that was going on. I mean, there was shit still going on at that time, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't in our faces then, because social media has put this front and center to us. And for her to do that, I was like, oh my God, like I'm connecting with these young ones, the youth. And I was like, oh man, I mean, I told her, I was like, you are validation that I'm doing something right with my art, and that it is moving and inspiring and changing people. And so I thanked her for that. And she was really nervous to even show me that, because she I guess she tried to, or she redrew some of my images. I'm like, oh my God, just the work that she put into it. I'll probably post it on my Instagram later, but it was like, oh my God, I can't believe you spent that much time on me.
That's awesome. But if you can touch one person, like that, everything we have done is justified if you can reach one person and it moves them that much. Right. That's the other thing about like music, especially music and art, is that if you have an avenue, you have a platform, and you're going to hold somebody's attention, especially with a song, you're going to hold somebody's attention for 2 minutes to 5-6 minutes. Why not use that to convey an idea, a thought, a statement, take a stance? Like, I enjoy music that is a lot more conscious, because if I'm going to devote some time to this, like, I want to be entertained and also become more knowledgeable, or again, get like their perspective and see how it applies to my own. I'm not going to agree with everything every artist says, but I can take bits and pieces and, start to create my own self-identity from that. Right.
I think, God, music is like, right now, like, for example, my kids are listening to these rap artists who I really don't give a shit about. And they're like, God, they're just such a waste of like energy and time for me. And it's like, we don't need you right now. We don't need this right now. I know we need some fun and entertainment.
Escapism.
That's fine. But it's just not for me. It's not what I'm interested in. So we're, like I said, we don't all wear the same shoes. We all don't like the same art. Like a lot of people, there's some people who love my work, and then some people are like, oh, it's not my thing. That's fine.
Another political post.
Right. So it's, so for me, like right now, I'm really excited about these young, brown men and women that are spitting word and speaking truth through their music and their lyrics. Like, God, this is hard. But so I'm going to talk about Wake Self from New Mexico.
Yeah, I didn't want to ask you, but I'm glad you're bringing it up.
So I was introduced to Wake's music maybe a year ago with one of his songs, Medela. I think, I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, guys, but I didn't know that was from him. Like, I saw that video and I was like, holy shit. Like, this is what I'm talking about. And then it wasn't until like another post that I think Reclaim Your Power shared on their Instagram. And I was like, who is this? So I started following him, and I immediately was so drawn to his music and his words. And I was like, dude, he's like speaking truth. He's speaking wisdom for the youth, for our generation. And I was like, he's doing what I'm doing with my art. But I feel like he was more like, more advanced than me, because I'm still a work in progress. I'm still learning, man. I don't know everything, but the way he would talk about these issues in his music was just like, so like, oh my God, it was like refreshing. And like, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah. And I shared it with my kids and my mom. And anytime I came across somebody, I'm like, look, like some of my other, homies that rap, and I was like, look, check him out, but there's, they're like, it's just not my thing. I'm like, okay, I can understand that, you're not ready for it, whatever. So I was really like moved by him, and I don't know how, but I think we started talking through Instagram, and then just going back and forth with conversation, and then we started planning things out. Like, I really I had asked Wake to write a song for Colors de la Comunidad regarding issues around SB 1070 and the struggles that we go through. And he was really excited and very open to, like, oh my God, he's like, yeah, I got some words for you. My dad is this and that. And he's like, I definitely got some words, to write down or to give you for that. And I'm like, okay, we're really excited. Went back and forth. And then I think he was working on his album, so he kind of like took a break off Instagram. But once he was, done with it, and he hit me up, and I was like, yo, he's like, what's good? He's like, I took had to jump off Instagram, the social media to get my mind right, focus on my, my album. I just finished the last song and I was like, oh my God, that's so dope. I'm so happy for you. He did it, also asked me to possibly do his album cover at the time. Wow. And I was like, oh man, but he wanted like graphic design. And I'm like, I suck at that, but I can try. He's like, do you know any other females that can do it? And I was like, I'll ask. Or I was like, I mean, I can try.
Yeah, at least paint it or draw it out, and then somebody could do the vector.
Right.
That
and
stuff.
So he wanted to use a female artist because his album cover was regarding the feminine energy. And so I was like, so he's like, it only makes sense to use a female artist. I was like, right. But I think he ended up going with Dumper Fu for his album cover, which I think Dumper heard from a friend of mine that he was still in the works of. So, I mean, at least I appreciate him even reaching out to me was a big deal to me. And I was like, man. And then we had planned for Wake to come out. I was trying to get him out here for October 26th because he was on tour with Superman. And I was like, oh my God, we definitely need to get you guys out here. But it was short notice. I really tried, reached out to a couple of my peers. It just didn't work out. So then we had went back and said, okay, you know what? We'll just have you come out for spring to do the final, the mural reveal event for SB 1070.
Because that'll be the third one?
Yeah, it would be. So it would have been April 23rd, the SB 1070 10th year anniversary, and I wanted to do like I said earlier, a mural reveal for all the murals, and I wanted to do one big event, and so I had told him about it, and he was really excited about it. Oh, cute. Sorry, there's a dog that just came into my garage.
Yeah, we're in the garage and it's cracked open, and he's like, "What's going on in here?"
Oh, cute. But yeah, so me and Wake were going back and forth with that conversation, and then he had reached out to me. I think we last talked on Friday. I think it was the 1st or the 2nd, and he was just asking me, or I said something to him about, I forgot, one of his Instagram posts, and then he responded and said, I hope you're doing well, and I said, I'm doing good, mister, same with you, and then throw up a fist or whatever. And I really wanted to say to him, I'm gonna cry, oh my gosh. I wanted to tell him, I mean, he already knew I was happy for him about his album release and him finishing the songs, and his launch party was going to be at what was it, that Meow Wolf on the 7th. And I wanted to be like, are you excited about it? But at that time I was like, nah, I'll just talk to him afterwards, because he's being bombarded right now. I felt like he was being bombarded by everybody.
Because you felt that too.
Yeah.
You feel that when you release something and everybody's like reaching out.
Yeah.
And so he's in that point with his own album.
Mm-hmm. So I was just like, man, you know what? I'll just, because once we start talking, it's like boom, boom, boom. We go back and forth. I can talk a lot. And so our conversation, so I was like, I'll just talk to him. I'll just talk to him after his event on the 7th. And I remember when I was sitting inside my kitchen or my studio, I was at my drafting table, and I saw his message, and I looked down, and I was like, and I responded, I was like, I'm gonna be short, I'm not gonna talk his ear off. So I was like, I said something short. I said, same to you, I hope you're doing well too, mister, and that was it. And then I get up, and my mom's in the kitchen. I said, Mom, I gotta show you something. So I showed my mom his music video. And my mom had to put on her glasses, and I said, no, really listen to it. And I was like, I want you to hear what he's saying. So I showed my mom. She's like, oh, wow, he's good. And I was like, right? And then, I just I was like, that's what I did for him, because I believed his music connected with me so much. And and then it was just hard. Oh, man. And then it was Tuesday morning. I was at Fry's when I saw the message that he passed. I kind of lost it in the grocery store. My son got kind of embarrassed because I started shaking and crying, and I was like, I can't believe it. It's like, how can somebody empath, Wake, be a light worker and do amazing work for us, and then just be taken from us just so quickly. I feel like he did a lot, but I still feel like we still needed his. I can't even talk right now. It was just hard. But I went to New Mexico for not for his burial, but I did go for the community through him event. I went, met his dad, and got to, see this beautiful community gathering that they did for him. And it was such like inspiring. It wasn't more of like, none of us were, some of us were crying, but it was more of like a celebration of life for him.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that I went. I met some dope people, some good things happened out of it. And so, yeah, I just, that's the Wake story.
Even in his passing, he continued to bring more people together, and that allowed for more projects to come into fruition.
Yeah.
Did you happen to know if maybe his parents were also activists, or this is just something that he kind of just took upon himself?
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
He's been doing this for a while. I'm friends with somebody who knew him very personal and knew him for a very long time, is Randy Boogie. He kind of told me the backstory of how Wake started and that, just a little bit of that, but I don't know too much. I don't want to speak on it if I don't really know. So
no, that's good. But I wasn't familiar with him, unfortunately, until he passed. And I've seen, because within that, I'm friends with like Self Defy on Facebook and you and a lot of the other artists, and saw the impact that he had. And I'm just like, man, that it does. Like, that's a huge blow. Like, he's doing so good in the world, and then it's just taken from us.
Just taken. Yeah, I was at a show, like an event at ASU, and one of our peers was like, brought up the conversation of like what the fuck? And I just looked at her and I said, we can't explain it. We can try to assume this and that, but we can't. It's not for us to say. It's just to know that he's gone, and that we can, like, for me, he just inspired me to keep going and to never take life. He's always like, man, I think one of the last messages he sent me was like, he's like, I guess life is precious. He said, he's like, you got this, I got this, we got this, always give thanks to our creator. And I was like, man, okay, Wake.
Yeah, build off of what, he has accomplished, started. Like, that's what all we can do, is like the momentum is to continue. And what can happen is, much like it's happening now, the whole community is being invigorated to step up with how heated the political climate is right now. So all we can do is just say, strap up, let's go, let's get this. Let's continue to build, and hopefully, again, he's inspired, just like you've inspired more and more artists, more voices to speak up.
Yep. Yeah, I'm so glad that I still continue to share his work. I'm going to. Like I said, he just made an album, and I cannot wait to, we're able to purchase it and buy it, because I'm still going to support it. So. Yeah.
Perfect. That'd be cool if you could like host like a listening party.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be very cool. Bring everybody together.
Oh yeah, for Phoenix. That would be dope.
Ooh, got a little serious there. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I don't know if you wanted to get that emotional.
Okay. I just want to advise you guys that I am a big crybaby, but they say llorona pero chingona, okay?
Yeah, hey, there's nothing wrong with crying. I don't know why people are like look so down upon it.
Yeah, I see it as there's nothing wrong with crying. So this thing they say about when you cry, you're releasing, you're cleansing. Basically it's like a Olympia. And so I'm like, oh, forget it, then I'm gonna cry all the time. And so that's what I do now. And I kind of just make fun of it. Just let
it go. Because you shove it away if you don't let it. Okay. Yeah, there's a fine line, because you definitely don't want to just be completely emotional and devoid of restraint in certain situations. But you can't always just shove it down. You have to let it wash over you, almost like so say I don't know, to make the stretch of an analogy, say like there's a forest fire, right? And you're just burning up inside, and then it rains and it washes it all away.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
That's kind of like the first thing that came to my mind, but like that's what it is. Just accept it. Like, come on, like let it hit me.
Say it,
and let it flow out of you. You
see, he's speaking truth for some of you males out there, because I know some men find it that it's not masculine to cry, but we can I mean, that's a subject I like to touch on is machismo. You know, like it's something that I want to demolish as much as possible, and know that, you know, I teach my boys. I have an 18-year-old Dominic and a 7-year-old Nathaniel. They grew up watching and seeing the things that their dad did to me, and I'm trying to educate to my kids or my boys that it's okay to cry. It's okay to show emotion. It's okay to hug each other, and, you know, give your buddy like a hug, you know, and get away from that. Oh, that shit's gay. You know, like these kids, oh, that shit's gay. Don't touch me. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, no, you know? And so I'm such a huge advocate for, like, let's get rid of machismo, like, right now.
Well, it's just don't be afraid to connect with that emotional side. And don't be afraid to let somebody know when you're scared, when you're uncertain, when you have a little fear, because that's going to allow you to become closer to whoever you feel comfortable enough to disclose that information. Because if you just go, that's how you lack in forming like a good relationship. Like if you're not allowing yourself to get, you know, emotional or a little bit more sensitive, you're gonna have relationships that are fickle, that are just, I don't know, like they don't connect, you know, you just rub off on each other, and all of a sudden, like, it's easier for you to be thrown to the wayside. Like this person is not interested to connect. Like, I'll go find a relationship where we can actually be, you know, real.
Right.
Yeah, real. Like that's what I'm only 31, so like, and it took a lot. It took a lot for me to get to this point, for sure. But
that's awesome.
Man, I did my fair share of crying this weekend. I visited my tata who passed away 3 years ago. My cousin who passed away 16 years ago almost, and my dad who passed away this year.
Oh my gosh.
So I've definitely, and then my mother-in-law passed away last year. It's going to be a year anniversary on the 1st. So I'm done, like, with like not telling people that you love them, you know. It's like every chance I get. Right.
You got to, because sharing that love and connecting, even like through hugs, is like something that like growing up, my mom and dad didn't hug me or say I love you. It was like awkward to them to hug each other, and I'm like, why is that such a thing? You know, like I chase my kids around the house trying to give them a hug, you know, and they call me smother. Smother. I'm like, wait, what?
That's a good one. Okay, that's a good
smother.
one.
Yeah, my daughter calls me smother. I'm like, cut. And then my oldest walks in, and I'm like, can I have a hug? He's like, no. No. And I'm like, stop.
Yeah, no, that's an awkward age for them, for sure. They got all these hormones. Act like we didn't go through that.
Right.
But yeah, just embrace each other, show the love, which is, again, what your artwork does. It's not like you said, it's not radical. It's not political to be radical, to like incite, you know, some feeling, to get people angry. You know, it's really to allow acceptance, understanding. Because that's ultimately what we do lack, is just the understanding of other cultures, other people, other ideas. Like that's one thing that, you know, people have trouble battling with. Like I interviewed an ex cop lieutenant who actually worked for ICE. So abolish ICE. Like he worked for it. He worked for them. And obviously he made a career out of that. So he's like, I'm following the law. But speaking to him in person for the 2 hours that we did, he looked, as his time as a cop was, I'm here to serve the community. He's like, the last thing I wanted to do was write a ticket. So I would walk up and say, have an understanding. And if obviously I give respect, you can't get respect if you don't give respect. Right. And like ultimately, like that's what we need to understand, is that everybody, for the most part, for you know, regular loving people are just trying to operate in the way that they feel that they at that moment feel is best, and coming from a good place. And if that's the case, then hey, there's going to be misunderstandings. But if we try to understand each other, like that's going to make the difference.
Right. I would like to be in a room with him and somebody
Yeah.
from Border Patrol. And
I've been
it's-
trying to get. I have friends that are on the Border Patrol, and when people talk about immigration, this right here, this face, I am a product of illegal immigration. My grandparents, my dad, my mom, like I'm not even gonna say what we did. This is no, I'm not gonna say what we did after the fact, but I was born here, but I am the product of illegal immigration. So for you to say that all illegal immigration is bad, or immigrants in general, it's like you're telling me that I don't belong here. And what am I doing that doesn't allow me to belong here?
I guess you've seen this saying, no human is illegal on stolen land, you know. The border we didn't cross the border crossed us, from Dolores Huerta, you know. It's a quote from her, and I live by that. I go by that, and I always say, like, I do preach that, you know, we're all one spirit being. You know, we don't know each other, but we need each other. And this topic of immigration, like, Arizona is a red state. We're a Republican state. We're right here in the Lucha. And there's times where I thought, like, you know, I would like to move and go to another city because of my art. But it's like, no. I'm right here in the Lucha, and my community needs me. And I'm using my platform to speak for, you know, our people. And it's like it is at times the energy can become intense because of what we're going through, and I absorb all types of energy, you know what I mean? And so for me, sometimes I even have to take like a step back and a break from dealing with these types of issues, because it is so real and it's in your face, you know.
It's draining. It's emotionally draining.
It's emotional draining, because I'm this little person, you know, just wants to help, but then people see a light in me, and I have been reached out to from people asking for help. Like, I have immigration lawyers that reach out with certain information, like, could you use your platform? Can you help me with this? And I have all kinds of community members and like who've identified me as a distinguished leader in Arizona and Phoenix. Yeah. And I'm like, what? Like, getting that label is just like, wow.
It's pressure in itself.
It's pressure. I don't want to let anybody down, and I'm trying to do the best I can, and any way that I can. So, a little thing, like I said the other day, it's like, because I feel like I'm being watched a lot, which good and bad. You know, my grandma fears, like, you have to be careful, because, you know, if you're in activism or doing activism, they're going to be, and I'm like, whatever, you know. It's like, I'm not going to, my family has told me to actually, like, stop some of the activism and the artivism that I do, because they're worried about, they're like, you have kids, you know, don't forget about that. And I'm like, I understand that. Yeah. And I know who I surround myself with. I know what, and I understand your concern, but no, thank you. You know, I'm in path right now, and this is something that I'm supposed to be doing. Because when you're in path, and you stay focused and you stay in your lane, all opportunities open for you. And people have been reaching out, and I'm just so like, wow, you know, it's like, it's very like heartwarming to me, but also does put pressure on me, because people are looking for me for help, and I can only do so much, but I'm going to do as much as I can with my art. So, and
what people need to keep in mind is that you are human.
Yes.
You're one person, you're human. And you will eventually, like we all do, make a mistake that somebody might not agree with.
Right.
And then that does not diminish any work that we have done up to that point. And doesn't mean that we can't continue to change and progress and make that right.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's what, because I notice when people are in the activist state, or like, again, like extremely on one side of the political platform where they're activists in there, like, as soon as they slip up, as soon as something happens,
they get attacked.
They come down on you, because nobody can ever be righteous enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So
we have to keep that in mind.
Oh man, you perfectly said it, because that's what that's been on my mind always been on my mind, because I see my peers, other activists, attack each other. Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that, you know, for not knowing something, or other organizers attacking one another. I'm like, dude, we are
on the same
team, you guys. We got to learn how to work together. And yesterday I wrote in my little poem book, I put, do not shame with ego, but enlighten with heart, you know, because I will do the best I can to advocate. But if I say something wrong or something like something that just doesn't, like, you have to be like, she doesn't know her shit. Well, because maybe because I didn't, you're right. I didn't know my shit, but enlighten me.
So exactly, because it would be bad in that sense if you did know and you did that, but you're like, hey, I didn't know. And again, what I'm going back to is that the understanding that what you're trying to do, what you say always is coming from the right place. Right. It just might have been delivered wrong or again, misinformed, delivered or uninformed.
Wrong. And it hasn't really happened to me, but We've seen it plenty of times. I've seen it so many times from my peers, and I'm like, you guys,
like, they're like chickens pecking at the weakest one.
Stop. Like, how are we going to move forward and grow if we're sitting there talking shit about each other? I was like, I'm just so tired of it. And I'm all about, I don't know, I'm just like this little, I just want people to get, I wish I could save the world and have everybody get along, but you know, it's like a lot of work. But I'm just saying, like, if we can just, you know, if we're going to, as a brown community, let's not beat each other up and let's work more together. You know, if you don't agree with somebody, just reach out and communicate with them. Don't shame them. Don't put them on blast. Like, let's talk to each other, you know?
Yeah, do what we're doing.
Exactly.
You know, not with microphones, not with the camera, but just go meet up. Not at a Starbucks, at a local coffee shop. Go meet up and have a conversation. Hey, Lucinda, what you said, you know, really made me mad. I brought out these emotions, this and that. Like, what were you thinking or why? And then you have the chance to explain yourself. And then they can actually, you know, again, gain an understanding of your frame of mind when that was said, when that was done. And then the forgiveness.
Right.
That needs to come into play.
Yep, I agree.
Damn. So tune in next week when we talk about Netflix.
Dude, I do have a girl that I would like to introduce you to. Her name's Ali. She's from Tucson, and you can find her like #FreeAli. So she's now. I learned about Ali maybe 2 years ago when her case went viral. She was actually detained in Tucson by ICE, and she was they had her locked up. They got her initially for DUI, but then when she went to court, ICE walked in, they kept her and they detained her. So her story in 2018, you know, came up again, and they took her again, and it went viral. And I was like, and it went so viral that, you know, there's even like celebrities are using their platform to voice for her. And I was like, oh my God, like, this happened in our backyard. We got to do something. And that's, you know, I started following her story, and I was so moved by it. But it was amazing because the people organized, the activists got together, the organizers got together, and they got her out. And so she's out now.
Awesome.
I met her at a protest in Phoenix, and then we just linked up, started talking. Now she moved to Phoenix, and now she's become one of my favorite people and such an inspiration. She's an organizer 24/7, man. She's traveling all the time. I could barely, you know, we hang out and talk to her. She is just so radical and so beautiful, and she is so like she didn't even really know me, but she took me in and treated me like a sister. Yeah. And I was like, wow. I think one time we were at our friend's shop, and she had her screening. They did like a short film on her. See, all our peers, all our girls from her circle, known her story, seen her story from the behind scenes. I just met Ali, so I never knew what she went through beforehand. So when I watched it, I cried. I broke down. I couldn't really talk to it because I'm like, how can one of my favorite people go through this shit? You know, and so I'm like, God, I'm so proud of you. You know, she tells me, I'm proud of you too. And I'm like, no, I'm proud of you, girl, because you never stop. And she's always speaking and doing so much work. And so
that's beautiful, because nobody would blame her, like what she's been through. I don't know her story, but the way you're talking about it, like, there's those people that just have a rough go at life, and you wouldn't blame them for just calling it quits, giving up. Like, you had it bad, but when you see them persevere and keep fighting and keep progressing, like, God, it was just
And
like
they still be
chills,
fucking
you know?
with her. You still be fucking with her. Fuck you. No, I'm just
Really?
kidding.
They are they?
No, I'm just, I mean, she can tell you, but I'm just like, it's, I hear it from her, you know, it's like,
Well, I'm sure if she won like that, you know, and she got off, like, I'm sure they're not happy about it.
I love her, and she has so much lucha in her, and I'm like,
Hell yeah.
man, I'm so glad for me to be in your circle, for you to be in my circle.
Yeah, that you guys cross paths.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did ask the universe to actually send me like-minded individuals, you know, and I have been receiving those people in my life, and it's such a beautiful thing.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. And again, like-minded individuals, but not like exactly the same. Where it's just like, again, an echo chamber. You're just reinforcing the biases that you already have. But like-minded individuals, as far as being driven and creative and loving souls.
Yeah.
You know, surround yourself with those that have love to give.
So much.
Yep. That's dope. Well, I love our episode so far. Here's for another 3 hours. No, I'm just fussing.
I told you I talk a lot. But I think I don't know if that concludes. Is that
it definitely can. We've been going for a while. Is there anything else like you want to like say that you wanted to touch on? We can always do a whole another episode, obviously. But anything right now that maybe is that you haven't already said that maybe weighs heavy or that people should know?
I think I said about everything that I have to get off my chest.
Perfect. So again, on Instagram, you are at La Morena _art.
Yes, my social media handles. Okay, so I just started a YouTube channel.
Yes.
So that is up, and that's under, I think I have it under Lucinda Hinojos. That is my real name. So Lucinda Yrene is my Yrene is my middle name, and then so my YouTube channel is Lucinda Hinojos.
Wait, it's Yrene and you go by Irene. That is so much more badass. Yrene. Hell yeah.
It's my Nana's name.
Love it.
Yeah, so you can find me on YouTube at I think it's under Lucinda Hinojos. Last name is Hinojos, and then Instagram is La Morena _art. Facebook, it's La Morena Art.
Hell yeah. And then your website?
My website is www.lamorenaart.com.
Hell yeah.
And thank you to GoDaddy, my sponsors, for the next 3 years. Yay!
Yeah! Go Daddy. Go Daddy.
Yo.
All right. Awesome. You guys are doing a great thing by helping this young lady out.
Yes, big.
Powerful lady.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for sitting in.
Yay.
Solid handshake. And we'll do it again soon and when you have time. And hopefully, again, you know, this reaches more people and allows them to get an insight on you and then hopefully empowers more people to get involved. Yes. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. This has been This One Time. And please go out there and make a difference in someone's life. It doesn't have to be exactly what we're doing here, but just do what you can to improve someone else's life.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
Amen to that.
Love you guys. All right. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Felicia.
Slaves right now. Trying to find the masses. Blood, sweat, pain, tears, man. We all got fears. All one people should all live equal. Tell me why they trying to change what's legal. Blood, sweat, pain, tears, man. We all got fears. All one people should all live equal. Tell me why they trying to take my freedom. So I gather myself, what I've learned through my thoughts, my doubts is that they gon' judge you, study your wealth.